Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios of what if Disney princesses were kaijus. That's right, it's another multiversal tale episode. Let's hop in and see what we can learn about these queenly beasts.
I've been on a real kick of redoing my old art lately, whether it was my Fantastic Four Dragons video from a month ago, or my last video where I took Pokemon sprites that I made back in high school and rendered them out in my updated art style and added them to my series The Trismegistus Academy. But one video that I always knew I was going to go back to eventually was my Disney Princesses as Kaiju video from the very early days of this channel, before I did lore or stories or anything like that. As simple as those designs were, I did think they were pretty cool, and I've always figured they would look good in my modern art style. So, let's finally give those drawings an update, shall we?
Let's go! Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like it. But by the way, enjoy the show.
I've been so busy hunting down demons in other dimensions that I don't spend much time
Heath Hurricane Reynolds
dealing with the kaiju in my own world lately. Luckily, there are plenty of epic kaiju slayers back home doing the good work just as well as I could, sometimes even better. Though, there are still issues now and then. My buddy Nia back home was telling me about how a famously secure facility storing a pretty dangerous kaiju had a breakout recently. For the first time in its life, the Raptangzel had finally gotten into a city to wreak havoc. See, this kaiju was found when it was still a newborn by a researcher called Dr. Gothel. Even as a fresh little one, it showed that it was pretty dangerous, having
Mother Gothel, I get it.
Control over the hair that came out of its head that let it use its long locks like extra limbs. Dr. Gothel got this thing caged up and planned to kill it, but before doing that, she started studying it and realized that its hair had medicinal healing properties. It could cause a massive gash in someone's body to close up within a few seconds of applying medicine made from it. They even tested it on cancer patients and found it healed mild cases of skin and lung cancer within a few weeks of treatment with it. It was like a miracle cure. The problem was those healing properties would fade within a day of the hair being cut off of the kaiju. So, if Doc Gothel wanted to use it to treat people long term, she had to keep Raptangzel alive, even as it grew at a rapid rate. She managed to get it transported to a high mountaintop lab in Germany, where she got people to soup up the place and make it into a fortress to contain Raptangzel and basically farm the kaiju's hair. Worked pretty well for a few years, but unfortunately, just a few weeks ago, an eco-terrorist who just goes by the fake name Ryder busted into the place to set security protocols and let the kaiju go. He'd busted animals loose from dozens of zoos across the world before, and look, I'm not super pro zoos caging up wild animals for their whole lives, but busting out dangerous kaiju is another story.
Yeah, that was a complete difference.
The last time he'd do that, though, because the guy was squashed in the thing's escape anyway, and it went on a rampage in the nearest city. Dr. Gothel had two pro-tier kaiju slayers on call, thankfully. These guys would call themselves the Stabbington Brothers, and they were able to take the thing down without killing it, but the fight went on long enough for a lot of collateral damage to be done. People are debating now if they can guarantee future containment on this thing, or if they just give it the axe for good. Normally I'd say that route is a good call, but keeping this thing's healing hair around is a pretty big argument for letting it go on breathing. Personally, I'd just let Doc make the call. From what I've heard, it seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. Some folks may disagree, but I'd say when it comes to this kaiju, Gothel knows best.
Or you could say, Mother knows best. A lot of references, I love them.
A bit light on the lore this episode, and that's honestly because, along with my Illustrator React series, the pop culture crossover kind of episodes that I'm working in now that aren't a part of my ongoing series, like this and the Fantastic Four Dragons video, I'm kind of using these episodes as a way to chill out the writing part of my brain. Focusing more on just the art, because with my ongoing series that I have going with Starseed Psyche, Fear of the Demon Hunters, Trismegistus Academy, those take a lot of creative writing focus. So with the episodes that aren't a part of that, it's nice to just chill out that part of my brain, focus on topics where I already know the characters pretty well and I don't have to do any research, like Marvel stuff, Disney princesses, and again, experimenting more with the art specifically. And that's what I knew I was going to have fun doing with this episode. And one thing that I wanted to do more of is experimenting with destruction. I started doing that around a year ago when I did my Pokemon Godzilla Monsters episodes. I started doing a little bit of active destruction happening in the pieces, and as I've gotten more and more comfortable doing buildings, I wanted to do more of that in this episode. And funny enough, as much as I knew I wanted to have...
Well, all I can say is this. Your art skills just keep improving with every single video. Well, keep it up, and you may be awarded the title of the new generation, the new Da Vinci. Let's continue.
Rapunzel kaiju holding up the building above her with her hair, and I really like the glass kind of starting to fall down around her, and the way the building looks like it's crumbling in because her hair is really gripping it. I think I actually like a little bit more the part of her hair that's wrapping around the building behind her that she's got her claw on. It almost looks like she's going to use the hair to pull it and use her claw to push it and just tear that building down. And I don't know, something about that just feels really cool. I like that
That's
little
pretty well
addition.
designed.
And it does
Well
feel
thought
so
of.
nice that I'm
Whatever.
getting more comfortable doing buildings. Although one thing that I will note is I feel like if I really want to make these pieces feel like they're happening a bit more in a real city, I'll need to start getting a little bit more comfortable with adding some stuff on the ground, like lampposts or destroyed cars or people running or something like that. I didn't get into any of that in this episode, but
That
I
would be
did do some
something.
more cool experimenting with active destruction happening in these pieces. I think this one might be my favorite, but it's a toss-up. I'm really happy with how all three
Hey,
drawings
it's
turned
only
out
the
in this
first.
episode, and I'm only doing 3. Pour one out in the comments for Yzma, who I did in the original episode, but I'm not doing her this time. If I did,
Oh.
I probably would have gotten Ares in as a cameo, because, you know, anyone that's watched Mytholethal knows he's basically just Kronk. Anyway, let's take...
Oh yeah, no, you literally have him voiced like Kronk. I pointed that out when I was watching that series. I was like, wait a minute. Is Ellie's just Kronk because of the damn voice?
Take a look at the finished version of Rapunzel, shall we?
Okay. Yeah, well, here it is. Raptainzel. Well, the Rapunzel kaiju. Not bad. Interesting look with the upper arms, though. Oh, with them being just bone.
That whole Raptainzel issue actually reminded me of another breakout from a Norwegian kaiju containment site. This was a privately built site made by this super rich heiress named Anna Agnersdottir. Her sister Elsa had been killed when this ice-spewing kaiju called Frizella stomped through their hometown.
Oh,
Anna
I'm
was
sorry.
loaded with cash, having inherited her family's entire fortune since her parents were out of the picture too, but instead of using that to hire some top-tier kaiju slayers to kill the thing, she built this huge kaiju containment site to use as a prison for the thing. Then she hired some kaiju slayers, but just got them to lure the thing in there.
I wonder
She trapped it
why.
in there and just kept it locked up. She probably could have taken it out, but she kept it in there alive and would apparently pace around that place staring at the thing. Some other slayers went and told her they could finish the thing off for her, but she wouldn't let them.
I'm curious on why she was doing that.
I guess in her grief, she became a weird recluse, and some sort of reverse Stockholm syndrome type thing happened where she started feeling bad for the kaiju. She must have bonded with it enough to think it should be free again, because eventually she just let it run free. The kaiju.
No. She blatant let it go.
What,
Oh,
Dr.
the song. I get it.
McGregor, I didn't hear you come in. What was that?
I know that you don't know what you did there, but I can't just let you tee that up and not pay it off. She let it go.
Isn't that what I said?
No, but don't worry about it. That just would have driven me crazy if I didn't correct you on it. I'm leaving. Just keep going.
Oh, right.
Well, that
then,
was something.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
she
cameo.
let it go. As you might expect, the thing just went right back onto a rampage, freezing up the nearest city with its ice breath. Luckily, there was a slayer in the region who had made a real connection with a big, friendly reindeer-like kaiju. Actually kind of similar looking to one my buddies and I slayed recently in another dimension, but there's no relation.
Oh.
Together, this hunter and his big elk-looking thing were able to scare off Frizella, but she's a pretty tough one. Still hasn't been taken
Sonius?
out for good, and still finds her way into Norwegian cities now and then to wreak havoc. The government's got a warning system in place, at least, for when it's approaching certain regions,
Okay, that's
so the
pretty
people
good.
living there can get to safety bunkers or
That's
evacuate
clever.
in time. Nowadays, there are minimal casualties and destruction, because they're pretty prepared at this point for any ice kaiju attacks.
Plus, you could say that the people who live there, the cold never bothered them anyway, right?
I mean, they are used to cold temperatures up there, but there's a difference between dealing with cold weather and having a kaiju freeze up your...
Never mind. Just ignore me. I'm leaving.
Yeah, I don't think you can use pop culture with them, or really anyone other than us viewers.
Again. Now with this Elsa one, it was the one I was most excited to do because in case you haven't noticed from the stuff I draw a lot, I really like drawing dinosaur, dragon kinds of creatures, and any kind of icy sort of creature. And we're actually going to be getting a lot more of that in the next Fear of the Demon Hunters episode.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I was
Get
super
some
stoked to
ice.
do this drawing, and the one thing I knew I wanted to do for it most was have the Elsa Kaiju shooting some kind of ice beam that was both destroying a part of a building, but also the parts that weren't getting blasted away are getting coated over in even more ice. And another thing that's been really fun as I've been
A destructive blast that can also cover.
experimenting more with my art lately, both inspired by stuff I've been covering in Illustrator Reacts and just playing around with things that cross my mind, is this element of things in a drawing that I don't ink. People who watch the Fantastic Four
ink?
Dragons episode know I did a whole dragon
yeah.
in that where I didn't ink him. I've been doing a few drawings lately where I experiment with not inking the creature, or at least not inking the creature first, adding in some inks after the fact to make them stand out more. But I've been going for a little bit more of a painterly feel, or a little bit more of a concept art sort of look. I don't know exactly what to call it or how to describe it when I don't do the inks for it, but there
I know what you're talking about because I've again commented on it in the last few videos, and even I actually don't know how to describe
There
it.
have been some of those drawings that I really like, and some of them where I don't love it as much, and I've noticed the ones where I like it the most is when the main focal point of the drawing, like the main creature or character, I still go ahead and I ink that and use my usual rendering process for it, and then the secondary elements of the scene, I don't do that. So, for instance, in a recent Trismegistus Academy
Oh, like
episode,
the
I have
laser beam?
Monstrosity punching a funny enough, an icy Tyrannosaurus
Oh, yeah.
kind of creature. And I ink her to make sure she stands out nicely from the creature behind her that she's...
Oh yeah, looking back on it, that is what he did. He inked her, but he didn't ink the Pteranodon thing. He put in the base colors and changed them up to get what he needed, and then started adding in the details. But he didn't ink it like her. Well, yeah, I didn't notice that.
punching, but then for the creature she's punching, I didn't ink it, and I think that blended together really nicely. And for this one specifically,
Yes, it
I
did.
inked the creature, and then the buildings I did without inks. And in the final version, I don't think it's even really that noticeable that I'm doing different, because it's the only difference is that one has inks and one doesn't. My rendering style is still essentially the same. But I also think it works really nicely for ice not having the inks on the outside. Like, I like the ice in the foreground as it's getting, like, blown apart a little bit, and there's the light of the beam shining on it, making it glow. And I like the way this foreground ice looks a little bit better than the ice coming off the Elsa Kaiju. I almost wish I hadn't inked that part of her. Again, with this piece, my only complaint about it is that the ground looks kind of bare. Maybe adding even just like one or two lampposts or one car that she's stepping on, something like that, could have elevated it a little bit more. But overall, still very happy with this one, because the main thing that I wanted to look cool looks really cool, which is Elsa as a kaiju shooting a beam of ice and freezing up and shattering a building.
Yeah,
so let's
that
take a look
is
at the
very
finished
good.
result.
And there it is. I forget the name he said for it back at the beginning. Friesla? I don't remember. Next up, and lastly...
Nia was also telling me that one of the most notorious ocean kaiju got knocked down a peg recently by one real tough hunter that goes by Ursula the Sea Slayer. She's a former pirate outlaw that used to hunt sharks for their fins illegally, but when kaiju attacked, she started hunting them with her crew. She realized she could make way bigger bucks by being contracted to hunt down different sea-based kaiju. Not the nicest lady, but she is great at what she does. Recently, she went after her biggest game yet. There's this set of 7 sea kaiju that all look sort of similar.
the Seven Sisters.
Or like they're siblings or something. And the worst of them is called Mermaw. She's famous for lulling passing cruise ships into a hypnotic state with her voice. I wouldn't exactly call the noise she makes singing, but she can let out this call that makes anyone who hears it dizzy and loopy and exhausted. She'll do that just before smashing up a boat or ship or whatever's in her territory.
Like a siren. Oh, look! Look, he's not inking the boat. He's doing the paint thing.
And her territory is right near a pretty important trade route. So, she's been a real pain. Slayers have tried going after her before with earmuffs and stuff, but Limiting what you can hear can really mess up your hunting skills.
Oh, I
Ursula
bet.
went on after
I
the thing
bet.
anyway, with her ears blocked and her entire crew's ears blocked, and she managed to get an explosive right down the kaiju's throat before it could smash up her ship with its claws.
Okay, that's
She
just
didn't
impressive.
kill it, and the thing fled before any more damage could be done, but the next time anyone saw Mermaw, it wasn't doing none of its singing. Seems like she messed up its vocal cords pretty good, and now it'll be a lot easier to slay. She may have been real shady before becoming a slayer, but it seems like Ursula is gonna take this kaiju down for the count soon, and avenge all the lives that Mermaw has taken. Sad that so many people died before she got to it. You know, shame thinking about all those poor, unfortunate souls. Yeah.
Damn it,
What's that,
champagne!
Doc? Oh, nothing. Now I'm just here to tell you that Pan's got your panini all done. Oh, sick. Let's go.
And with this
panini.
aerial kaiju, originally I was just thinking, this will be the kind of easy one environment-wise. I'm just going to do one of my classic shots of a creature leaping up out of the water. Not going to have the character in a city because it's a water-based creature.
That
And then
would
I was
make
like,
sense.
okay, but it would be kind of cool to have this creature smashing up something like a boat or a cruise ship. And at first I was umming and ahhing. I was like, do I want to take the time to do that? And as I was getting closer
then
to
you
the
did.
drawing, I just went, yes, I absolutely want to try this. The
Yes.
idea kept stirring around in my head.
Oh,
and I
wait, hold on. Look, there's actually a person in the artwork. Ha! Okay, that just shows you how freaking massive this thing is. That is like a regular full adult size human. Holy damn. The size difference.
couldn't let go of it, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to add a different kind of destruction and draw something that I haven't really drawn. Plus, it gave me another excuse to experiment with that idea of the main creature focus of the drawing is inked and rendered out in my usual style, and then another aspect of it isn't. So the boat, I didn't ink it, and in fact, I kind of just started with it, rendering it out, and I am quite happy with how
You
it looks.
pretty
I think I
much
could have
did.
added a little
I
bit
like
more
it.
detail. Looks like a bit smaller of a cruise ship than I wanted. I was actually referencing a Disney cruise ship and thought about adding the
Okay.
Mickey Mouse pool that they had, but I was like, that's, wouldn't really make that much sense lore-wise. With the
Yeah, plus there is a chance the mouse may file something, so it's just best to not go with a shaped pool of his head.
destruction, I've been really liking
Safety.
adding in the brush that I often use to add a little bit of grain to my creatures and characters to give them a bit more detail. I ramped up the opacity of it and started using it to help sell the splashes of water. This isn't the first time I've done that. I forget when I first tried that, but I think it really helped here. Just add a little bit more chaos to the scene. I do kind of wish that I'd had the boat getting a little bit more.
So it's a siren shark crab kaiju.
Were smashed up.
Okay.
Originally, I had thought maybe even having her come up between the boat and kind of tearing it in half, splitting it
Oh,
in
that
half
would've been
Titanic style.
badass.
But I still had lots of fun with this. I'm very happy with how it came out. Again, probably could
Yeah,
have
you
added
did
a little
well.
bit more destruction, but
You
I do
always
like
do.
the chaos of this. And I like the little person that I added getting flung up out of the boat. It's pretty low detail, but, he had to be pretty low detail because he'd have to be pretty small to help show the scale. And I feel
Pathetic.
bad that guy's wife and kids are going to miss him. He'd just gotten 2 new dogs that he was very excited about. And no, I'm kidding. Let's say this guy was a serial killer who got away with his crimes and escaped onto a cruise ship. And now he's getting destroyed by a kaiju. I also didn't plan to add anything in
Good
the
enough.
background, but I was feeling like the background was a bit bare. Thought of doing one of my generic, mountainous kind of backgrounds, but I was like, these are kaiju. We've been going with buildings. It's far enough in the background that I could do some pretty simple silhouette buildings. So I just
Yeah,
went
I mean,
with a
I
layer
would've.
of that. I probably could have made the windows a little bit smaller to help make the buildings feel bigger. But again, it's a pretty background
city
element,
outline
and
with
overall I'm
lights.
very happy with this piece. It is also funny when I go back to doing drawings that are this aspect ratio. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of my drawings lately have been a little bit narrower. They've been 6x9, and that's because for the books that I'm printing, I'm going with 6x9 inch
so they
books.
fit on the
So if I
page.
draw them that way, I don't have to crop them at all. With these ones, I wasn't making them specifically for a book. So I went back to I forget the exact dimensions, but the dimensions that I use for posters on my Teespring store. Which,
That's
by the
fine.
way, I won't do a mid-video ad, but these will all be up as posters on my Teespring store if you want them. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's great.
think this one might be my favorite of the episode. This one or Rapunzel. I don't know. I really like how all of these turned out, and it's been lots of fun experimenting
I gotta put the shark at number 1.
with lots of different things lately, and one of the main things inspiring me to do that has been bringing back my Illustrator React series. If you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend the latest 3 episodes I made, because they've given me personally tons of good inspiration for things to try out in my art. But anyway, this drawing's coming down to the end, so let's take a look at how it turned out, shall we?
You can call me a little biased because I am a fan of just some sea creatures in general, but I still like this one and put it at number 1. Rapunzel will have to take number 2.
If you enjoyed this, like I said, highly recommend checking out the Illustrator React series. Or if you haven't been to Popcross Studios in a while, I have started doing some more of the classic format kinds of episodes now and then. Like I said, there was the Fantastic Four Dragons video. My Zodiac Signs as Angels and Demons video is technically part of my ongoing series, Fear of the Demon Hunters, but it also works as a standalone episode. Got a Benny Sharp banter episode for the latest community redraw that was particularly funny. But yeah, go poking around. Might be some new stuff that you
check
enjoy.
it all out.
Besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive
inspiring note.
And the thought I want to leave people with today is paraphrasing a quote I heard this week by Alex Hormozy, who said that you have a 100% chance of bothering somebody on Earth by just existing. By just being yourself. Someone
I know that's true.
Will be bothered by it. So you might as
You
well
exist.
be the person you want
Someone
to be
hates.
and live the way you want, because there is no chance that you're going to please everyone.
Exactly.
Nor should you be trying to. I hope that's helpful or inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday. Goodbye.
Alright everyone, well that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the Twitter will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.